Hi guys and welcome to a new video from your favorite blobfish. Today we are going to talk about H3H3 aka Ethan Klein, and I'm going to be honest right from the start. I like some of his content, his older stuff is gold, but I don't like the guy. I really dislike him. He's been pro-deplatforming and just says the worst takes ever on Twitter all the time. Like many people in the community, my opinion has changed a lot about him from the older days. But today, it was announced that Ethan Klein got sued with a bunch of other people for illegally streaming the Jake Paul boxing match. Normally, I don't cover this boxing content on my channel, as I think that shit is just the most boring thing ever to exist in the YouTube landscape. Oh no, KSI is fighting this guy, Logan Paul fighting this guy, and Jake Paul is fighting this other boxer. Like, who the fuck cares? Well, at least I don't. I don't like it at all. But now that Ethan Klein is getting sued, it is starting to get interesting. The company suing H3H3 is called Triller and is the legal owner of the last boxing fight from Jake Paul. Triller filed legal action on April 23rd in the US District Court of Central California against the owners of the H3 podcast website for piracy of the April 17 event and a dozen other sites that restreamed and profited from as many as hundreds of thousands of users each. More than 2 million illegal streams of the event occurred for the Jake Paul vs Ben Askren boxing match. In the case of H3 Podcast, Triller added the site to its legal action after the site's owner admitted on his own podcast that he pirated and shared the Paul vs Askren fight. The legal action could result in civil fines up to $150,000 per illegal stream, as well as potentially $250,000 in criminal fines and up to 5 years in jail. The fines are calculated at $150,000 per instance. So for H3 and other sites who rebroadcasted the event to many people, the damages are large. So naturally H3H3 responded by saying the following on Twitter. Apparently I'm being sued by Triller. News to me, especially consider I did not rebroadcast it or pirate it. What? This tweet has now been deleted as H3H3 was caught lying once again. It seems every time Ethan Klein is put in a bad spot, he starts to lie his ass off. But well, there was no hiding it. This is a clip from his podcast.
This was the 10th most pay-per-view ordered event in history. Which is absolutely insane. 1.5 million pay-per-view orders. I didn't pay for that shit. I almost did, but Ian came through with the link. Daddy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm gonna play cool.
You didn't do anything wrong.
I didn't do anything.
So now Ethan was held back by his co-host, like, please don't say this in public. Please don't disclose that we pirated this shit. It could potentially get us in trouble. So you could say Ethan fucked up, but his co-host maybe saved his ass. But instead, guess what Ethan decides to do? Yes, he kept digging a bigger and bigger hole for himself and his co-host.
I didn't do anything.
Ian, you sent me the link. Come on, you had like backups on backups and backups. I was like, this one's not working. I'm gonna buy it. You're like, hold strong. You sent me one that worked. Can you send me that infograph, somebody?
You can't even make this shit up, guys. This guy is just throwing his co-host under the bus and just keeps repeating it over and over again. The same incriminating shit. Like, how stupid can you be? I get that pirating is something to talk openly about with friends, etc. And I get why Ethan could potentially slip something about it in his podcast. But this dumb fuck is literally repeating it over and over again. And it's not over yet. He admitted it once again.
But I don't know why the ref called it. I just found that the obscene.
You know what?
Like, I waited so fucking long for that.
You watched?
I watched the whole. I bootlegged it. I pirated it.
I felt like.
And to top it all off, he got caught in 4K watching it on a private YouTube video. Look whose face is in the corner. So yeah, Ethan Klein was caught in 4K and he still decided to lie so blatantly on his Twitter account. Worst thing about it, the last screenshot we can see him watching it himself. And to top it all off, he rebroadcasted it, which is of course even more illegal. Like when you download a movie, probably nothing will happen to you. But when you upload that, you will get in trouble if you don't have enough privacy protection. And you could say Ethan Klein didn't have enough privacy protection, as it was his own channel and his fucking face was in the corner. But still, he was commenting over it. So I would say that it could be part of fair use. But even if it was fair use, he was still caught in 4K pirating the fight. So let's hear what Keemstar has to say about this topic and see what he thinks about Ethan Klein potentially getting jail time.
Well.
So of course Keemstar is loving this shit, you could have already guessed it, and I must say, I'm as well. This shit is so fucking funny to say the least, even more so because Eden so blatantly lied right after. But do I really think he's going to jail? Well, of course not. That is never going to happen over something like this. This will probably be settled out of court for some money, nowhere close to the amount listed, and everything will be fine. But it's still funny to see Ethan in some hot water after all the shit he has done recently. So Keemstar also reached out to Leafy, another nemesis of Ethan of course, and he replied by saying the following: LOL. So it seems everyone is loving this shit. Except for the co-host from the H3 podcast, as he has now privated the unlisted video of him streaming the Jake Paul fight. Which of course, first of all, is illegal to hide evidence, and second of all, useless, as everyone and their mother has already seen it. And to top it all off, Keemstar memed the situation one more time by tweeting, I would love to see H3H3 try and survive another lawsuit. Like the content that he was making would never fly on YouTube today, and you have to adapt and overcome the fact that, like, you can't even illegally stream a fight now, like, I don't know. So in conclusion, this shit is funny as fuck. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
You know, I would love people saying, oh, Leafy come back. I would love to see Leafy come back and try to exist in the landscape today. Like, the content that he was making would never fly on YouTube today. And you have to adapt and overcome the fact that, like, you can't even curse, bro.
Fuck!